All right, music lovers. You know how it is? We spend hours curating the perfect playlists.
Yeah.
For like every mood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Upbeat for workouts, chill vibes for winding down.
Exactly, yeah.
But have you ever stopped to think, if your dog, you know your furry best friend,
Right.
if they have their own musical preferences?
Interesting.
Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today.
I like it.
We're going to take a deep dive into the fascinating world of how dogs experience and react to music.
Cool.
And luckily for us, we've got this awesome research article here.
Oh, perfect.
It's chock full of insights about how pups respond to different types of music.
Nice.
Everything from classical to heavy metal.
Wow.
And, everything in between.
Gotcha.
So get ready, folks, because by the end of this deep dive, we'll know if our four-legged pals are secret Beethoven fans or, maybe even closet headbangers.
All right, let's do it.
Now, I think it's safe to say that most of us dog owners out there have probably noticed that our furry friends seem to chill out a bit when classical music is playing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, is there any actual science behind that?
Absolutely there is.
Okay, cool.
Research has actually shown that classical music can lower cortisol levels in dogs.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And this is especially true
Okay.
in stressful environments like, animal shelters.
Oh, that makes sense.
You think about it, the predictable patterns and the harmonic structures in classical music, they kind of tap into a dog's, their innate sense of order. And that can promote a feeling of calm.
It's wild how powerful music can be.
Right.
Even for our furry friends.
Right.
So the study we're looking at,
Yeah.
it found that dogs in shelters, they actually vocalized less
Interesting.
and they rested more when they were listening to classical music.
Wow. So it really does chill them out.
It seems like it does. But then on the flip side, we've got heavy metal, which seems to have the complete opposite effect.
Yeah, no surprise there.
So what's going on there?
Well, heavy metal tends to make dogs pretty agitated or even anxious, and it's not really surprising when you think about it.
I guess not.
The intense energy, the complex rhythms,
Yeah.
and those often dissonant sounds, they can just be too much for
Right.
their sensitive auditory systems to process comfortably.
Yeah, it's like that for us sometimes too, right?
For sure.
Like if you're bombarded with a ton of chaotic noise, it's not exactly a recipe for relaxation.
Nope.
So then what about something like pop music,
Good question.
which is generally, more melodic and less intense than heavy metal?
Well, pop music and even just regular human conversation,
Okay.
they seem to fall somewhere in the middle.
Interesting.
Dogs tend to perceive them as just neutral background noise.
So it's not really bothering them or making them super relaxed.
Right, exactly.
Now, this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
The whole concept of pitch. You know how high or low a sound is?
Yeah.
Why does that matter so much to dogs?
Well, dogs are incredibly sensitive to variations in pitch. Okay.
Even more so than us humans. And you gotta remember,
Sure.
dogs rely heavily on vocal communication.
Right.
And pitch plays a huge role in conveying meaning within their pack.
Makes sense.
Like, think about a low-pitched growl.
Yeah.
That's a clear warning signal, right?
Definitely.
Often associated with threat or dominance.
Oh, for sure.
On the flip side, high-pitched sounds, particularly those within a certain frequency range, they might trigger a dog to howl.
Ah, so that's like an instinctual thing.
Yeah, it's like a throwback to their wolf ancestors. That primal urge to communicate through howling is still there.
I love that.
Okay, so we've talked about genre.
Right.
We've talked about pitch.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to another super important element.
Okay, hit me with it.
Tempo.
Tempo, like the speed of the music.
Exactly, the beat.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
And generally speaking, a slower tempo, around 50 to 60 beats per minute.
Okay.
That tends to be more calming for both humans and animals.
Oh, that makes sense. It's kind of like...
That gentle rocking motion that people use to soothe babies.
Totally, I see what you mean.
The same principle seems to apply across different species.
That's a great analogy.
And think about it, our own heartbeats.
Right.
They naturally fall within that slower tempo range.
Yeah, so it makes sense
Right.
that rhythms that mimic that pace
Yeah.
would have a calming effect.
Okay, so we've covered genre, pitch, and tempo.
We have.
But is there any truth to the idea that every dog has its own unique musical taste.
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Just like us humans, dogs are individuals.
Right.
They've got their own personalities,
Sure.
their own preferences, and their environment, their past experiences,
Yeah.
even their owner's musical tastes. All of that can influence
Wow.
how they react to different types of music.
So someone's a die-hard heavy metal fan.
Yeah,
And their dog doesn't even flinch at the loud music.
exactly.
That could just be a learned response.
It's totally possible they've just become habituated to that
Wow.
specific sound environment.
That's really interesting.
So this brings up a question for our listeners.
All right. I like it.
Have you ever noticed your dog reacting differently to
Mhm.
certain types of music?
Oh, yeah.
Like maybe they perk up at a particular song.
Yeah.
Or they leave the room when a certain genre comes on.
That's so true. They totally do that.
Yeah, and those little cues, those subtle signs.
Right.
They might be your dog's way of expressing their own musical preferences.
Oh, I live that.
Maybe they're a closet classical music fan.
Right.
Or maybe they just crave a little peace and quiet.
Exactly.
It's fascinating to think that our dogs might be trying to tell us
Yeah.
what they like and dislike musically all the time.
Mm.
We just need to pay attention
Right.
and learn to read those subtle signals.
So what you're saying is
Yeah.
next time we're jamming out to our favorite tunes, take a moment to observe our furry friend.
Exactly.
We might just uncover their hidden musical passions.
You never know.
Or maybe we'll learn that silence is golden in their world.
It's all about paying attention.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, thanks for coming on.
Anytime.
And to all our listeners out there,
Yeah.
keep those tails wagging and those ears perked up.
And the music playing?
Catch you in the next deep dive.